Welcome to Let's Talk About It.
My goal is to not harm animals. And so if animals were harmed for any step of that product getting to me, I don't want it.
Back in 2006, the United Nations stated, "The livestock sector emerges as one of the top 2 or 3 most significant contributors to the most serious environmental problems at every scale from local to global." And then, 4 years later, they warned that a global shift towards a vegan diet is vital to save the world from hunger, fuel poverty, and the worst impacts of climate change. So why exactly is animal farming bad for the environment?
Mark King Film Productions.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It, a podcast show for real talk, real people, and real stories.
We'll take a quick commercial break to hear a word from our sponsor.
Mark King Film Productions, professional audio and video editing services. We provide podcast editing, video ads, social media ads, wedding videos, and more. Follow us on Instagram, Mark King Film Productions, for all your editing needs. Mark King Film Productions.
Hello, everybody. I have a special guest today, but first, I want to tell you this is episode 5 of Let's Talk About It. It is a podcast to give you the platform for real talk, real people, real topics, and real conversation. Today, I do have a special guest, and I'm a big fan of hers. She's coming on here to talk about being a vegan. Now, there's a lot of things about this, that we want to know, especially I want. She'll talk about the benefits of being a vegan, and how it has helped her overall lifestyle. And she's going to discuss also the rumors and also the stereotypes against it. So today, I do want to say this before I start. This conversation is just a conversation. It is not to convince you or to force you to be a vegan. Okay? It's just a conversation. I just want to let that out there. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the very beautiful, the internet cheerleader herself, Sara Wolk. How are you doing today?
I am very good. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I've been waiting to have this discussion for a long, long time with you. Now, Sara, you are vegan. Am I correct?
I am. Mm-hmm. Okay. And just actually one thing, when you in your opening, you kind of mentioned that it's not to convince people to be vegan. And I just want to mention that you're not vegan, right?
No. It's just, we're going to have an open conversation about this. We're going to learn a lot about being a vegan today.
Excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss about being a vegan, the basics, the ethics of it, and some food, and a nice little food list. Now, Sara, tell us about your journey. What's your journey? What's the beginning of you starting that journey being a vegan? Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I actually was a vegetarian for a very long time. Okay. I started experimenting with vegetarianism when I was in middle school, probably about 12 years old. Okay. So I had an outdoor education program, and one of my friend's brothers had gone to that same program and had told me about how he went there and he saw the animals and learned about them, and then he felt bad eating them. Okay. And so when I went on to that same outdoor education program, that was kind of on my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, why am I eating these living creatures? That seemed kind of weird. So okay. I stopped eating meat for a while, but I wasn't extremely dedicated to it. Okay. And then when I got a little bit older, about like 14 years old, I started feeling like I should be stricter with myself. And I felt stronger about not wanting to hurt animals, not wanting to kill them for my benefit. Okay. So I became a full vegetarian at that point. Okay. And just for context, that was when I was about like 14 years old, maybe 15, and I'm 41 now. And so then I was a vegetarian for a very long time. And in college, I kind of learned about veganism. And that's when I started experimenting with not just vegetarianism, but veganism.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a pretty like traditional college kid in the sense that I was not very healthy and not really like good at getting my own food together. So
Okay.
I was vegan, but I became very unhealthy because I just limited what I could eat and ate, stuff that, I mean, there's chips and things you can eat as a vegan, French fries and stuff. And so I ended up, I'm pretty sure I was anemic when I was vegan in college. I never got my blood tested, but I ended up having like lots of bruises and I was very weak.
Okay.
So that didn't work out. I stopped it at that point for health reasons.
Right.
And then I was a vegetarian with sort of like a vegan slant for a number of years after that. So I would be like, if I had an opportunity to eat at a vegan restaurant, I would love to take it. And I bought certain vegan products instead of some of the normal ones, but I wasn't actually vegan. And then I sort of went through a personal kind of like epiphany or transition a little bit towards the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
And I sort of realized that I wasn't really living by my own ethics and morals if I wasn't vegan.
Okay.
So I felt like it would be difficult. And that was the reason I hadn't done it before. It felt like it was a very difficult thing to be a full vegan.
Yeah.
But I decided I wasn't going to feel good about myself if I didn't do it. And
Okay.
so that was it. Once I realized that I wasn't being true to myself, then I became just right then. I was vegan ever since then, with the exception of finishing some of the non-vegan products in my house that I couldn't give away because there's no point in wasting them. The animals already used. But I did not purchase any more non-vegan products after that.
Okay.
And since then, I have been vegan.
Okay. So, you know what? Can you explain the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan?
Yeah, definitely. So, vegetarian doesn't eat any meat. Or fish. No meat, fish, poultry, any of that kind of stuff. But dairy, eggs, that's fine. So other animal products, as long as the animal is not killed for it, is okay as a vegetarian.
Okay.
And then as a vegan, you cannot have any animal products or byproducts. There are some kind of different interpretations of veganism as well, which I could go into if you'd like me to, but I don't.
Hey, the floor is yours. Absolutely.
Okay. So I like to think I'm a pretty strict vegan, but there's always things to learn, so I might not be perfect. But so for example, there's certain things like sugar that if you just think about it, it's not an animal product or byproduct. However, the way certain companies process refined sugar actually uses animal bone char. And so there is animal product used to get it to the state that it's at when you purchase it.
Really?
Yes, not all sugar, but many refined sugars. It's not true for organic sugar. And if it's non-refined, I don't believe it's processed that way either. But like if a product just lists sugar on it and it doesn't say that it's vegan or that the sugar is organic, I don't think that product as vegan.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people who call themselves vegan and do consider themselves vegan who won't worry about things like that. So they look at the actual product and say, okay, well, there's no animal products in here. And then they will eat it. Yeah, which is, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think that eating anything vegan is great, even if you're not totally vegan. It's better than not eating it. But I prefer to be very strict because I think that my goal is to not harm animals. And so if animals were harmed for any step of that product getting to me, I don't want it.
I totally understand. So when let's go back to when you was like 14, you was a vegetarian. You started to be a vegetarian. So how was that process when you started like the curve, like the other stuff that like the curb the cravings that you had like for meats to go into vegetarian? Like how was that like for you at that early age?
Yeah, that was a little difficult. So I have to be completely honest though. I'm probably not as much of a meat lover as a lot of people. So in some ways it might have been easier for me than other people. Like I was
Okay.
never real into like steaks or anything, not really a lot of red meat. But I did work at Subway at the time, and that was a
Okay.
little difficult because their sandwiches, like I loved their chicken breast sandwich, and I could no
Gotcha.
longer eat it, and I could get it like for free once a shift as well, and
Yeah.
I had to say no and just make like a really basic sub because at that time they didn't have like some of the options that they do now.
Okay.
So that was a little difficult, and actually after I became what I considered vegetarian fully at 14, I did have a few kind of mess ups with like chicken sandwiches.
Oh,
And that's why I
chill
kind of
out.
picked 14, 15, because after 15, I was like, I was completely transitioned.
Okay.
Um, and I guess it took a little bit of time. Like you do get used to it. And if you find other foods that you like,
Yeah.
um, it helps a lot. And that does take a little time. And, but I mean, in the end, if you are getting the nutrition you need and you have food that tastes good, I think that it's doable, but it's not always easy. It doesn't happen just like that.
Okay.
So I think probably the biggest thing in more direct response to your question is that finding other foods that I liked and kind of planning ahead a little bit more. So like I wasn't hungry, on my Subway shift and stuff like that. And I was
Okay.
prepared with other things to eat.
Okay.
And then one other thing that I just want to mention
Go
is
ahead.
pepperoni pizza was
Okay.
sort of like a problem for me for many years because it smells so good, and it was just the thing that I always wanted.
Okay.
And like the smell of meat and being around meat kind of um stopped affecting me after maybe a year or two,
Okay.
with the exception of pepperoni pizza. For some reason that stuck around for like a decade. I mean, it was just very, very difficult for me. And I don't know why, but that just required willpower, really.
Okay.
And
How was it today?
I'm pretty good with it now. I think partly because I feel so strongly in my convictions. Like when I was
Okay.
younger, like I believed it, but I don't know, it kind of just as a younger person, I was more um I hadn't thought through everything quite as much and realized how bad I would feel if I made a decision that was against what I believed. And so I had a little more trouble mentally convincing myself that there was a real reason I was doing it.
Gotcha.
Um, so now it's partly that, and I'm just more used to it. And honestly, I'm not around pepperoni pizza that much, so it's
Okay.
okay.
All right. So, how has being a vegan like benefited your life today?
Well, I honestly think that mentally it's benefited me the most.
Okay.
Um, I also think that I am much healthier as a vegan than I was before that. And that was kind of an unexpected benefit. I didn't go into veganism for health reasons at all. It really was just for the animals.
Yeah, for the animals.
Yeah. So first, to address the mental aspect of it, I think making that decision for myself that I believed something was right. And regardless of it being difficult, I felt that it being difficult for me wasn't a justification for me going against my beliefs and hurting another being. And
Gotcha.
so once I realized that I committed to that and executed on it, I felt really good about myself and my ability to do that in other ways in my life, and realized that I could make changes based on my beliefs, and I could really continue to become more and more of who I am the older that I get.
Okay.
So, and then turning to the kind of like more physical well-being aspect of it.
Okay.
I am definitely healthier as a vegan than I was before that. However, it is very easy these days to be unhealthy as a vegan too. There's so
Really?
many, yeah. So there's so many options now for vegan food in our society.
Okay.
But if you are eating relatively clean and healthy anyways, and then kind of take it to the vegan level, I think that it makes a big difference. I really have more energy than I've ever had in my life, and I feel much better. But I have noticed that like um, when I'm eating more of the whole foods and fresh foods and everything, I do feel better than when I'm eating more of the processed stuff. Like there's frozen meals that are vegan that
Okay.
taste really good, but if I'm eating lots of those, I'm not feeling as good either.
Okay. All right. I got you. Look at you. Look at you. Let's talk about some like the cons that people put out there, the negative stuff, because people like to talk. I'm trying to like navigate this. Like some people will talk about like, this says it's like basically like you're getting a lack of nutrition, and people love to say that, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask somebody who's a vegan. So is that true that you're getting a lack of nutrition if you're a vegan?
No, there is only one thing that you're lacking as a vegan, and that is B12. And that's part of the reason that I knew what a big difference it makes and was able to share that information with you, because I started supplementing my diet with B12 once I became vegan, because it is very, very difficult to get it as a vegan. Some people say it's impossible. From my understanding, it is not literally impossible. It is in some of the foods, but in order to get it in a large enough quantity to be healthy is almost impossible. And so you do need to supplement. Everything else you can get. Everything is in all of the vegan foods. Everything is in plants. I mean, most of the animals actually get the vitamins and nutrition and everything we get from them by eating plants in the first place.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's absolutely not true. It's not a problem nutritionally. And I know protein is one of the big things that people talk about with
Yes.
veganism, like how do you get enough protein?
Yeah.
If you're not into like being a bodybuilder or weightlifting and everything, it's not even a concern in my opinion. You get tons of protein from even just vegetables. Like honestly, they're so low in calorie and proportionately decently high in protein, but also like beans and lentils and certain grains and stuff have protein. However, as someone who does try to have a high protein diet, I do supplement my protein like most people do. I have protein shakes. I have some protein bars, but I don't think they're necessary. I think honestly, just if you had protein shakes, it would be sufficient as a bodybuilder or for weight training and being in the fitness industry in general.
So these are like protein plant-based shakes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's actually lots of different sources of the protein in the vegan shakes. Like pea protein is a big one people know. There's, of course, soy protein, but there's also like hemp protein. There's wheat protein. There's a lot of different sources that are used to get the plant-based protein into vegan shakes. And then there are also some other products I really like there's this brand called Hodo that makes it's supposed to be sort of like a fake egg scramble, but it really doesn't, it's not really like that in my opinion.
Gotcha. I got you.
But it tastes really good, and it's minimally processed. It's processed, but it's not one of those things that is overly processed and high in sodium and all that kind of stuff. And I use some of that kind of stuff in my meals as well. I'll eat that with like a bunch of vegetables and some hot sauce or something like that, and it's really, really high in protein as well. So I have really no problem getting the amount of protein that I need, and I can at times I was able to have a lot more, and I experimented with having like 200 grams of protein a day to see how it affected me. Didn't work for me, but the point is that I was able to do it, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
So this like takes away the myth of you can, because some people say you can't have effective muscle mass if you're a vegan. So that dismisses that myth right there, right?
Yeah, that's definitely not true. There's actually a number of vegan bodybuilders, males too. I'm not, I've built a lot of muscle as a female being a vegan. So I think that's definitely noteworthy. But there are also large men who are vegan bodybuilders too. So it's definitely possible. Obviously everyone's different, so I don't know how everything will affect any individual, but um, there's if you're actually trying and giving it a chance and making an effort,
Yeah.
it's so doable. It's not a problem, and that shouldn't be an excuse for people to not be vegan or try vegan things.
Okay. So again, so the B12 gives you all the nutrients that you need. That's the supplement from, I guess, the meats and everything like that, right?
Yes.
I just want to be clear about
Yeah, that's the only thing that's needed. I there are a lot of vegans who also take other things regularly because of their vegan diet, like iron is another big one,
that. Okay.
iodine is another big one. These aren't necessary, but some people find that they are helpful because they are harder to get as a vegan. But I supplement very little. B12 is the only thing that I take literally every single day.
Mhm.
Um, and that's been now for multiple years, and I really do feel great.
I just like you're just amazing. I'll tell you. I do know. I do have. It was some facts that I looked up myself, and you could probably attest to this. The pros of it is good for heart health. Being a vegan.
Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, like I said, there are ways to be unhealthy and vegan. Like if you're eating, French fries that are fried every single day, then that's probably not going to be as good for your heart health. But
Okay.
generally speaking, people who are vegan are not eating that every single day.
Okay.
So most vegans tend to be healthier, but there are ways that you could still not have better heart health and be a vegan, but you'd have to be pretty unhealthy.
Okay. And I saw something. It reduces the risk of cancer. That's what they
Um,
say. I don't.
well,
I'm just going by.
I think that, so I don't know, and I'm definitely not a medical professional, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm like some things that was brought up.
so my guess is that's related more to the fact that there's things in the animal products that cause cancer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the added hormones and pesticides and stuff. My guess is some of those are probably carcinogens. Um, and and so you're avoiding that in more of the vegan foods, but I don't
Okay.
know for sure what they mean.
Okay. Do a lot of people come up and ask you about your opinion about being a vegan?
Yeah, actually, a good amount of people do if they know I'm vegan, and some people just approach me and ask me about my diet. And then one of the things I tell them right away is that I'm vegan. I realize that that's important for them to know because not everyone is willing to be vegan, and if they don't want to be, then they're not going to want to hear my advice.
Exactly. Exactly. Now,
um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Uh, do you cook most of your meals, or do you go out? Like basically, like is it like do you have like vegan restaurants? Is it hard when you go out to a restaurant? Let's say you're going out of night or town. Is it hard to find that vegan meal in a lot of these restaurants, or you just go to specific restaurants that serve
So there are specific vegan restaurants. There are
it? Okay.
also a good number of restaurants that are vegan friendly, even if they're not completely vegan. They have vegan options.
Okay.
And then there are some that are difficult to eat at, like places like steakhouses.
Oh,
Most tend to be kind of difficult because even their sides frequently have things like cream in them and butter and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, so I can't eat any of that stuff. And also, I guess there's probably a few more options than I'm willing to eat because they do have some sides sometimes that are just made with things like oil. But because I'm trying to be pretty healthy, I try to stay away from that as well.
Okay.
But um, so in my experience in Los Angeles, I'm fairly fortunate too, because there's a lot of places that are pretty like vegan aware here
Okay.
and are accommodating. And then there's certain other places that have been, similar and also less accommodating when I'm in like other cities or states.
Okay.
Um, so I think some of it has to do with location, but once I kind of had been vegan for a while, I also learned a little bit more about navigating restaurants. So
Got it.
even if you're at like a steakhouse, if they have salads, even just like a basic house salad, you could be like, I'm gonna have that with like no dressing and no croutons, and at least you have something to eat. Like it's not the best, but I'll put some like salt and pepper on a really basic salad, and at
Okay.
least I'm not starving. It's not like where I choose to go, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And there's also like there's sometimes there's they have tomato and avocado or some fruit, and I'll just be like, could you just give me some of that on a plate? Like, you don't have to do anything with it. Just
Awesome.
give me some sliced tomato and some avocado. And then I basically sort of make my own, little salad again.
Your own meal. Okay.
Yeah. I try not to be too annoying, but like, it is once you kind of start to learn things that you can do that aren't too much hassle for restaurants, you get a little more comfortable kind of going places and just figuring this is this is how I'm gonna eat. It's just what I'm doing tonight because I want to be here with these people.
Okay. The last stereotype I want to clear this up about vegan food is pricey.
So that's true and not true.
Okay.
Um, the most basic things like the produce and whole foods are not pricier or less pricey depending on whether you're vegan or not. It's the same food and everyone should be eating it.
Okay.
And there's, ways to go to different markets and places and take advantage of sales where you can get the, healthy fruit and veggies and grains that aren't that expensive. And for things like grains and beans, you don't have to buy it pre-made. You can buy it dry in a box or a bag and, make your own beans, for example. And it's a lot less expensive that way.
Okay.
When it comes to some of the more specialty vegan things, the things that are a little bit newer and becoming more abundantly offered, it can get expensive.
Really?
That tends to be more of the stuff that isn't as healthy either. Some of the stuff I'm talking about, the frozen meals and things.
Yeah.
Um, so it's good to have that as an option, a quick option. And it's, everyone needs different things to eat. I'm not saying that you can't ever have that and be healthy, but that kind of stuff I think is where it tends to get more expensive.
Yes.
There are things, I guess, like yogurt replacements. That's going to be a little bit more expensive. Some of the companies are offering like larger containers now where again you're saving a little bit more money, but
Yes.
so there are some things that are difficult to get around, but that's if you're looking for a specific food and kind of unwilling to have an alternative. So it can be more expensive and it is a little bit more difficult to navigate to have it not be expensive, but it definitely doesn't have to be expensive. And I buy a lot of, fruits and veggies and stuff that are on sale and don't spend a lot of money on it.
Okay. All right. So if someone's watching right now, let's say they want to be a vegan or they're vegan now, like what's some nice foods that like give me like a vegan foods that's very good, especially like stuff that you like.
Okay, well the Hodo I think it's Hodo all day egg scramble is the actual name of the product that I was talking about earlier. That is very
Okay.
high in protein and really very tasty. It kind of goes well with lots of different things, and you can eat it plain just with like some hot sauce or salt, and it's really good. But also you can mix it in
Hot
with.
sauce. Well, I love some hot sauce. There you go.
I love hot sauce too. Um, so that's definitely a product I'd recommend a lot.
Okay.
Um, if you are looking for, let's see, like a yogurt replacement, the my favorite is So Delicious. That's the brand name.
Okay.
It's a little high in sugar, but it's very tasty.
Okay. All right.
If you're looking for lower in sugar, then there's Siggi's, Siggi apostrophe S.
Okay.
And I think Kite Hill has a very low, healthy Greek yogurt like product.
That's the name of the company, the brand.
Yeah, Kite Hill is the name of the brand, and they also make like cheeses and other dairy products.
Okay.
Um, oh, there's actually a cheese I found recently that I really like.
Oh boy. Here we go.
It's made from olive oil too, and it's
Wow.
really relatively low calorie considering it's made
It's made of olive oil?
Yes, if you can find it, you have to try it. It's amazing. And the brand name is called Good Planet, I'm pretty sure. And
Okay.
I've seen two different, they have actually multiple flavors of cheese and types of cheese, but the ones that I get that are like a little lower calorie come in a brick and they have like jalapeno and peppers in them and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really, really, really tasty.
Well, that's something I'm going because I love olive oil. I do. That's something
Yeah.
I'm going to try myself.
It's really cool. When I saw it was made of olive oil, I was like, that's weird, but I have to try it. And then I was
It,
pleasantly surprised.
it's really good, huh?
Yes, it's really good. And if you try it, let me know. Because if you don't like it, I want to know too. But please try it.
I definitely will. Sarah, I can tell you earlier. I we was talking off air, and I told you I announced that you was coming on, and two people asked me to ask you a question. So I guess we're gonna call it Ask Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, we have the. Oh, wait a minute. Now I wrote down exactly how they sent it. They texted. This is from Melanie in Missouri. Mel, this is for you.
Hello.
She says, "Hey Sarah, I'm thinking of becoming a vegan for health reasons. I saw a documentary about food processing and I was turned off. What are good steps to a vegan diet? And should I jump in or tiptoe?"
Okay. Well, I think that really depends on you because um, for me, I had done some transitioning, like trying vegan foods a little bit, and I just decided I needed to do it to feel good about myself. So I needed to just jump in and make the decision. But I do think that for many people, transitioning would be easier, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with vegan foods yet. Um, so, for example, cheese was something that I really liked, and I didn't ever want to give it up. But I started kind of experimenting with different vegan cheeses before I decided I was going to be a full vegan. And I ended up realizing I could give up cheese. So that made it much easier for me to make that final jump when I decided it was right for me because I knew I had a cheese replacement. So if there's foods like that for you, I would focus on figuring out what you're going to do to replace those foods. And once you have that handled, I think it will be much easier. If there aren't foods like that, I think just making sure you know like where you can shop and where you can eat is really, really it. From there, it's just kind of, the decision that in any given moment, you're not going to take the easy route to eat some of the foods that are available and in front of you. But again, that's easier if you kind of know what you are going to eat and you've already kind of planned ahead for things that are difficult for you.
Hear that, Mel? Because her and I was texting about this too. She was when she saw that it's a documentary about food processing
Mm-hmm.
and animals, and she was shook up. She really was. And so she was like, okay. And I think she talked about, uh, damn, I hope I'm telling it right. I think she's going to be a vegetarian first. Then she was talking about being a vegan. And when I told her about you, she's like, okay, answer the question for me. And you did. So, Mel, I hope this helps you. You'll probably text me later on about anything else. Number
And she can
two.
also ask me any other questions separately from this too if she wants. I'm happy to talk
Absolutely.
about
Oh, yeah. I don't know. You might want to reconsider because she can talk.
it. Well, I can't promise a prompt response, but I would love the opportunity to talk to someone who's interested in veganism.
Awesome. This is from Sarah to Sarah
Good
from
name.
Tulsa. Sarah, this is an interesting question. She asked me my opinion. I couldn't answer it. So, okay. I just recently became a vegan 2 months ago. I'm going home to visit my meat. This is what she says, my meat loving family. Uh, how do you suggest I handle it with them? Because they are a legitly, when I say legitly, ball busting family.
Okay. That
I
is,
mean, bad, very bad. I actually know her friend. Yeah, it's very bad.
I mean, that's a difficult situation to be in.
Yes.
It is difficult even just to tell, people that you're a vegan when you know they're not and when you know they aren't going to understand it. And it's got to be even more difficult when you have a family like that. So if it's important to you, I mean, generally speaking, I would say that that should be part of the conversation when you tell them, just to make sure that you tell them your reason for it. and that you believe in it and feel strongly about it. I don't know if that will make a difference for how they react or treat you. But in the end, if you know that you're doing it for you, like really nothing they say is going to change the fact that you're being you and made a decision for yourself. Doesn't mean the situation will be easy to deal with, but would you change that decision just because of the situation that you're going to have to deal with? My guess is no. And so it just sort of is what it is, and you kind of have to deal with it. And I do think also that that will probably be the worst of what you have to deal with, because you know those people and you care about them and you love them and they know you. So they're going to be very hard on you. And it sounds like they're hard on people in general. So that'll probably be worse than other situations. So maybe after that, it will also kind of have broken you in for being able to have the discussion with other people. And it won't be as scary to kind of share that you are a vegan with people that you know aren't, because that is something that I think most, if not all, vegans deal with. That they're like Lewis, like you said, there is sort of a reputation or an image about the cons of it and things that are bad about it that a lot of people do have. And as a vegan, we kind of go into conversations anticipating that from people, because it's such it's a common attitude. And so it is something that you do have to deal with, unfortunately. But the more of us there are, the more we talk about it, the less of that attitude there will be. Even if, people, not everyone is a vegan, we can all appreciate our own opinions and each other's opinions and not have the kind of judgmental attitude about people's diet and lifestyle choices. And I think that it's nice that Sara has made this decision and is one of the people who's dealing with it, to help animals and to help other people and to help her health or the environment, whatever her reason or reasons are.
She's awesome. She's a good person. I think she spells her Sara with an Sara.
Okay, no H at the end then.
No, just A right there.
Okay.
Yeah, you should have your own like podcast to helping people with being a vegan. You really should, because you explain it so well.
Well,
really
thank
well.
you. Thank
You really do. Now we're about to have some fun, young ladies.
No.
Yes.
I'm still nervous about this part.
Yes. Everybody, the people who's watched episode 1 through 5, I play a random game, pick and choose. And today's victim, I'm sorry, participant.
Oh, it's gonna be that bad.
Participant is Sara today. Sara has 90 seconds to answer these random questions. Pick and choose. It's pretty simple. It's not that bad, trust me. I guarantee it's not. You could. We set this. And are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. Yes. And let's go. If you could be any age for the rest of your life, what age would that be?
35.
Favorite band or group?
The Get Up Kids.
Test the waters or dive in deep?
Test the waters.
Be the passenger or the driver?
Driver.
Favorite meal?
Bagel with tomato and capers.
Childhood nickname?
Cheese.
Cheese? Funny story or one-liner?
Funny story.
Would you rather be a musician or a movie star?
Movie star.
Reality shows or documentaries?
Documentaries.
What's something you can't give up?
My cats.
Group hangout or one-on-one hangout?
One-on-one.
Cooking for someone or being cooked for?
Cooking for someone.
Angry client or angry coworker?
Angry coworker.
See the future or change the past?
Change the past.
Painful truth or lie?
Painful truth.
What
I did it.
We get. You have 127.
Oh, So I did it in less than 90 seconds.
In less than 90 seconds. I love it. I got to put this down. 1.27.41. Wow. I'm not going to tell you about other people. But,
I'm curious, though. I was going to ask, and I was like, oh, no, I'll just have to watch. That's not fair.
No, you got to wait to see on that one. Sarah, last thing here. I would like for you to give a final statement about being a vegan. How has it helped you? I know not overall, but like let's just go over like how important it is to you in your life right now. Just overall, everything that we discussed. Like, no, matter of fact, how about this? How about you tell people, for people who's going to try, people who are curious about it, give us some last minute pointers about last advice in your point of view.
So my biggest pointer is really just to try it. And you don't have to go all in. You don't have to be completely vegan, but try buying the vegan version of something and having it and see how it tastes. And if that one doesn't work for you, try something else and just start experimenting with it. You don't have to be a full vegan to make a difference, again, for whether it's the animals or the environment or your health. Eating some of the vegan products and healthier versions of things is better than none. So I say just actually do kind of go for it. And if you're not ready to make a decision one way or the other, you don't have to, and you don't ever have to, like I said, still try things. So that's kind of my real advice, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, this young lady, real people, she's a real person. She just broke it all down. You guys want to give it a shot, give it a shot. It is your option. She gave you all the facts and figures. She is knowledgeable. She is very intelligent and very beautiful. Trust her. Look at her. The cheerleader. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming up episode 5. You guys have a good week. Stay tuned for episode 6. Peace out, everybody. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining today's podcast. Please click and subscribe. Help us support this so we can bring more real people, more real talk, more real topics, more real conversations.
Subscribe now.